I'm Matthew Buzzy from PC Mag, and I'm here with Eric Ackerson from Acer, here to show off the Nitro 5, which is traditionally one of the company's entry-level gaming notebooks. But while there is a $750 starting price on this unit, there's also a nicer scale of options on this. So Eric, take it away and talk to us about all the different configurations and options you're offering.
Yeah, thanks. Nitro as a line is growing, certainly in its breadth of offerings, but also in terms of importance to our overall portfolio, which is partly why we're injecting so much more in it. Like you said, $750 is the starting price point. At CES, we're announcing, Nitro 5 as one thing as a whole, but really four different platforms. I can simplify that a little bit. First of all, there are two different screen sizes, 15.6 and 17.3. So we've got a couple options there. Then things get more interesting because there's new CPUs from AMD, the new AMD Ryzen 5000 series of CPUs. We have systems with those CPUs. Also, Intel is announcing the new 11th generation Intel Core series of processors. We have those as well. And just to make it more interesting and or complicated, we're also adding new graphics from our friends at Nvidia, the GeForce RTX 30 series of graphics. Nitro 5 will support all the way up to the 3080 level of graphics. This is not something we've done with Nitro before. We often would use the graphics performance as a separator between the Nitro line and the Predator line up higher. Part of that's due to performance, part of that's due to price. That was a way to segregate. But now Nitro 5 is just going full bore across the board.
Yeah, that's definitely, as you said, sort of unprecedented for the Nitro line. I know that at least the entry level ones are 15 inches. I believe some of or all of the 30 series configurations are 17-inch versions of this laptop.
So, I don't remember exactly what we're announcing from the news release, but I'm just thinking from a bigger picture what we're bringing to market. Mm-hmm. There will be both 15.6 and 17.3 with 30 series graphics. That starting price point at $750, though, I need to point out that's GeForce GTX 1650, and that's so we can get it in for a very affordable price. All those other configs start to bring it up. Something also new for Nitro as it expands in capabilities is we're also changing the design language just a little bit. In the past, everybody would look at a gaming laptop, no matter the brand, and you'd see black and you'd see red, and that was it. Well, there's still a little of that here, but we're toning things down. I'll hold it up for you to see. This top cover here has the Acer brand, but the elements on the side for design would typically be highlighted in red. They're not. So you can close that lid, carry it around, and it's not as obviously a gaming machine. It still has some of the Nitro branding, though. On the hinge, you can hopefully read the Nitro there, little red to highlight, and then the back of the hinge as well, where all the updated cooling is.
Yeah, I like that. That's still okay to have a little bit of personality and tell you that it's a gaming laptop, but a little more restrained. In addition to the component scaling, I know there's also some screen changes, not just the size, but sort of feature, again, sort of fitting this story of having the components and the power scale along with this laptop. So that goes into the screen options and the refresh rates as well.
Correct. So on both sizes of the screen, 15.6 or 17.3, there are options for Full HD, IPS, and 60 Hertz, which is at that starting price point. There are options to step up to 144 Hertz with that Full HD, again, both screen sizes. Then we also have an option for QHD, or 2560 by 1440, at 165 Hertz refresh. And the final option, and again, available on all screen sizes. I should also point out, all of these screens are available on all platforms, meaning AMD or Intel, and obviously the Nvidia graphics. So our final option is Full HD at 360 Hertz refresh, which is incredible for this Nitro line.
Yeah, that's definitely appealing. These platform launches, I should say, are going to open up a lot of options for people. And supporting that, I'm sure it's the usual, but storage capacity maximums and RAM maximums are what?
Yeah, that's important to point out. We can have up to 32 gigabytes of RAM on the system configured in various ways, and then up to 2 terabytes for a 2.5-inch hard drive. On the SSD side, things get interesting for Nitro. We have the option for 2 M.2 NVMe PCIe SSD slots, and that's Gen 3, so pretty darn fast. And those can be configured in RAID 0 should a user want even faster access to data.
Very nice. Rounding those out, I know there's a couple extra features, and you can tell me if these are all included in even the $750 starting configuration, or if only some of these add in later on, but that includes the 4-zone RGB and things like killer networking support, and then the Wi-Fi 6. I assume those things are across the board. But yeah, talk about those. The keyboard, if there's anything special other than the lighting.
So the RGB backlit keyboard, it's 4 zones like you indicated, and that's optional. So that's something that kind of gets built into higher levels of specs. Also, we've found just globally that there are preferences in different parts of the world on whether you want the glow or not. Obviously, if it's there, a user can dim or turn off. But I think also to help achieve certain price points and positioning within a region with retailers, you may not see the RGB keyboard, 4-zone keyboard everywhere. The arrow keys are highlighted. There's let's see if I can make it visible on camera for you. So here we go, arrow keys, and here we go with these other keys. There's a little ring around it, and they highlight a little different to make it easier to find when you're gaming in a dark environment, for instance. That's 100% across the board. Wi-Fi 6 is 100% across the board. The killer part of it is relegated to the LAN port. So it has RJ45. You can connect. Once again, you're able to go in and control your bandwidth and quality of service on device when you're connected to LAN. And then all of the Nitro products have something called Acer Cool Boost. This is an automated system to control fan speed to try and keep everything nice and smooth. But we also include Nitro Sense, which is similar to Predator Sense, system health, temperatures of CPUs, and more granular control of fan speed. No overclocking, however.
Gotcha. Fair enough in a mid-level, entry-level offering to not have these super high-end features. I'm trying to think of what else we can cover here. I know that I have here 1.6 millimeters of key travel. Those keyboards are usually pretty comfortable. I see the full-size number pad there, an advantage to having a 15-inch chassis, as is the existence of the Ethernet jack on those thicker 15-inch machines. That is something that most of the time that the slimmer laptops do lose. So all those are good options if this is totally replacing your desktop as your gaming machine, which it likely is. Yeah. If there's any other features you'd like to cover on this one?
Just a simple thing that we didn't touch on yet, but with all this performance with CPU and GPU options, lighting effects, fan control, all of that, we haven't touched about battery life. All of this packed in there, we're still looking at a 10-hour battery life. So you can certainly replace your desktop because you have all the performance, and now you're mobile almost a full day of use from a workday perspective and beyond, right?
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, battery life in gaming laptops used to be a bit of a swamp. It's gotten a lot better. There's some exceptions, especially if it's a really big machine, that it's a bit shorter, but we've seen those averages grow from 2 to 3 hours to 5, 6, 7. Some hit 10. Some insane ones hit in the teens. So yeah, definitely something we look forward to testing that out for ourselves. I think that's everything then. This sounds like a really appealing option with a ton of scaling configuration choices and things. So look for the Nitro 5. When is this launching?
Mid-February for that product we're announcing at $750.
Very nice. Okay, this February. Thank you so much for watching. Check out PC Mag for more from CES 2021, including a slew of other Acer's announcements and more from every vendor you could possibly think of. Thank you so much for tuning in, and take care.